Hi, you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see I have some new subscribers and I want to say welcome to the channel. My name is Selena. I'm an RN here in New York City. Welcome back to all my subscribers who have been here for a while. I thank you guys so much for rocking with me and for being here with me and for being on this journey with me. You guys are greatly appreciated. Okay, so as you guys know, I love to talk about nursing, and every now and then I might sprinkle something else in. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing my childhood and discussing how it relates to how I currently feel about nursing, um, especially bedside nursing, right? So I'm not sure if I ever mentioned on this channel that I am 35 years old and I was raised by my aunt. I was adopted by my aunt. My aunt is my mom's sister, right? So, okay, cool. My mom had 4 kids by the time she was 28 years old, and obviously, not obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, because other people have a lot of kids young and they just make it work. But in her situation, she didn't make it work, and she gave up her rights to us. And so I grew up in Queens, New York with my aunt. Okay, as a kid, like, even though, like, if you're adopted, right, like, even though your situation may be okay or it may be decent, you're just like always wondering about your parents, like, where are they, how are they, what's going on with them, what made them decide that they weren't going to take care of me, like, is it something I did, was I a bad kid? You just start to feel like there's something wrong with you, but or you may feel some sort of inadequacy, or you're not good enough, or whatever the case may be, right? I know for me, that's certainly how I felt, right? And so let me go into how that relates to how I'm currently feeling about the nursing field, right? Okay, so growing up, I always felt inadequate. I always felt like, I wasn't good enough, or like there was something wrong with me, right? So let's go to while I was in nursing school. All throughout nursing school, I felt inadequate. I felt like, what is wrong with me? Like, is there something wrong with my brain? Like, I remember taking tests, and, if you're in nursing school, you know that most times after exams, you kind of like remember some of the questions, and you may have friends and you start discussing with your friends, like, oh, do you remember this question? I put this, and they say something totally different, and you're like, oh shit, like, I definitely did not put that. Like, what was I thinking? Like, where was my thought process? So that's just one example. Like, I always felt like there was something wrong, or like maybe this wasn't meant for me. And even up until even now, like working in the hospital, I feel inadequate sometimes. I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm doing the best I can with what's provided to me, but even then, sometimes I feel like, am I not good enough? Like, what is wrong? Like, especially like at times where you're being penalized for little things that you may not have done. Okay, I'm not talking about big things or anything that has caused or anything that was like detrimental to a patient. I'm talking about little stuff like labeling IV bags, or updating the whiteboard, or leaving work on time, like things like that, little things like that. And it's just like, or time management, like you're penalized about certain things, and it's just like, wait a second, are we not seeing the same thing? Like, what's going on here? Like, am I the drama? Am I crazy, or are they crazy? Because what the hell is going on here? Like, I'll give you a perfect example. So in the hospital that I work, they have these things called med sitters, right? So med sitters are supposed to eliminate having to use the PCTs as one-to-ones for patients who are requiring one-to-ones, whether it be for safety, elopement, whatever balls, whatever it may be, right? So basically there's like a machine that's in the room with the patient, and they're like techs sitting in a room and they're monitoring these machines, and it'll like alarm when the patient is trying to leave the room, or if the patient is about to fall, it will alarm to let you know that you have to get the patient, right? Okay, fine. These med sitters, like sometimes the patients be on med sitters, but it's just like, I'm not sure that this is really working, because sometimes things still be happening even with the med sitter, and then it's somehow your fault as the nurse that something happened. And it's like, okay, well, never mind the fact that I have 8 patients, right? And something also was happening in this other room with this other patient, and something was happening here too. Like, never mind that, like, but I'm gonna get penalized over something that happened in the room where there was a med sitter, right? Or how about there's 50 something patients on the unit, or sometimes even 60 something patients on the unit, and most of the PCTs that are on the floor are sitting down on the one-to-ones. So that's leaving you, the nurse, to do your work and the tech's work. Tech work includes finger sticks, vital signs, EKGs, and all these things. Like, how are we expected to give quality care when the techs are all sitting down? Like, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. Like, how am I expected to function? How am I expected to do the job of me at my role, the nurse? The tech's job, you're supposed to be dietary because the patients don't like the food. You gotta call dietary and ask for something else. You know, you have trachs, you have vent patients that, you know, need suctioning, constant suctioning. Now you have to be cleaning patients and changing patients and doing all these things. Like, how am I expected to give quality care? And it's not, because I wholeheartedly believe in my heart that no one becomes a nurse to neglect patients or to do things the wrong way. I don't believe that for one second. But how is it that I'm expected to give quality care when I don't have the proper tools necessary to give quality care? The other day, I had a patient who was having really bad panic attacks, and they gave her Haldol. They ordered Haldol for her. I administered the Haldol. However, it did not work for her. The patient, I told the doctors what was going on with the patient. They ordered a site consult. Site came and saw the patient. I don't know what the result of that site consult was, because I did not see a note. But basically the whole day, she's just like freaking out. And what gave her comfort was me standing there with her, sitting with her, talking to her, holding her hand and things like that. And while if I could, I would have done it the whole shift, but it's just like not reality when I have 6 other patients that need medications, that need treatments, that need wound care, that need all these things done. I cannot even give you the care or the one-on-one that you probably need, because I have so many other things to do. And it like broke my heart. Like, it really did something to me. I left work that day feeling so defeated, and it just reminded me back to when I was a kid, where I would feel so defeated and I felt inadequate, and I'm like, am I not a good nurse? Like, what is going on? Like, why do I feel like this at almost 6 years in, and I'm feeling like I'm not a good nurse? And I'm like, no, okay, you're 6 years in, you go to work every day, you have a positive attitude, you always You're respectful to your patients, you're respectful to your colleagues. Like, you do the best you can. You try to fulfill the orders as quickly as they come in, but the time, it's just never enough time to get every single thing done. And yet I'm feeling like I'm walking away from work feeling like I'm not a good nurse. And I'm saying this at 6 years in. Imagine a nurse who's 6 months in, or maybe even a year in, and she's thrusted into this, and now she has all these patients and all these orders and all these things. And it's like, you management wants to walk around like, oh, your name is not on the whiteboard, or, oh, your line isn't labeled. Okay, while it should be labeled and while my name should be on the whiteboard, I think in the grand scheme of things, this is something that's very, very, very small. And I don't think that I should be penalized for it. Like, if it's the perfect world, like how they love to, like, while you're in nursing school, they always like to create the perfect world. You have four, I'm very sorry. You have 4 patients or you have 5 patients and you can do everything, but it's almost never that when you actually step into the hospital. You have 7 patients, you have 8 patients, 5 out of the 8 are total care. You have a PEG 2 patient, you have a ventilated patient, you have all these things going on, and you're really trying your best to get things done, but you just can't. And it's not even because you don't want to, but it's because you're not properly equipped. And I tell the new nurses that, because, like, for me now, I'm at a point where I get things done. In my shift, in my 12-hour shift, I get everything done. And if I can't get something done, if it's something that can be like endorsed to the night shift, like it's not like detrimental to the patient, I will endorse it. But for the newer nurses that are coming in, I always try to make myself available to them, because I know, even at 6 years in, how I feel. Some days I can only imagine how they feel. That's why I always make myself available to them. Like, listen, especially if I don't know them, I'm Selena, I'm on this side, I see you have these patients over here. I peeped in and I noticed that your patients, don't look so stable or whatever. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask me, come to me. Like, I will help you if you need help turning the patient, changing the patient, doing the dressing, whatever the case may be, I'm here. So, like, I always try to make myself available, but I'm just here to say, like, you're not inadequate. You are a good nurse. You are capable of doing your job. It's the system and how it's built, and that's why you're unable to do certain things. It's not you. It's definitely the system. So I don't know who this message may be for, but I just want you to be encouraged. I want you to ask questions where you feel the need. I want you to, question orders if you don't understand why you're doing something. Hey, doc, why are we doing this? I noticed that we usually would do this in this situation. What is there a reason why we're doing it this way? Like, respectfully ask questions, ask your charge nurse, ask your colleagues around you, ask the doctors, ask whoever. I just feel like that's just the way to go about it. So, I don't know. I hope I wasn't like too long-winded or too emotional, but I don't know, that whole feeling of inadequacy or not being good enough, it just and it dawned on me today, like, wow, I used to feel like that a lot as a child, and now I'm feeling like this again as an adult at work. No, it's not that I'm inadequate. I'm good enough. I was supposed to be here. God put me here. So the system isn't going to be able to take me out. The only way I leave is if God removes me. Coming into bedside, though, I would like to say, I'm gonna leave you guys with this last point. Coming into bedside, it's not sustainable. It's really, really not. I'm really surprised that I've been in bedside as long as I have been, but come in with a strategy, come in with the plan, know why you're doing what you're doing, right? Go into, don't hesitate to get that master's degree, whether it be in administration, leadership, Go into leadership if you want to be a part of the change, if you want to implement new rules, new changes, you know. If not, you always have the NP role, family nurse practitioner, you have psych. If not that, if you're in ICU, you have the CRNA role. Like, there's so many different things that you can do as a nurse. And that's why I always still, even despite all the hiccups and even despite all the things that, you know, we complain about on a daily basis in regards to nursing, bedside is not the end all be all. So if it's not working, if it's no longer serving you, you know, you really have to see like what you want your life to be like, and then go after that. Don't stay where you're not being fulfilled. Don't stay where, you know, you're unhappy. So I say that to say, move on if you really just don't like it, and, you know, always have some sort of plan. In everything you do, always have a plan. So I'll see you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one.